In a few minutes here, my friend Jason is going to get up here and share about being broken. And I can relate to that. 8 years ago, I moved to Ohio, and I knew no one in the entire state other than one person in Cincinnati. I went to my first job alone. I got my first apartment alone. And the first times that I came to Apex, I sat here alone. And like many of you here today, I know what it means to feel lonely, even though you're in a crowded room. On the other hand, I also know what it means to be part of a church and sit next to people I know, talk to people I know, and see a lot of familiar faces, but at the same time, not being invested in anyone else's life and not invite anyone else in to disciple me and help me be more like Jesus. I know what it means to be disconnected in that way as well. My name is Drew Clemens. I'm on your Apex staff. I lead the connecting team, and our whole goal is to help get you connected to Apex and stay connected. And in the area of connecting, one of the major ways to do that here at Apex is to get involved in a house church. And I actually do very little of that on my own. I serve with a team of dedicated folks here to serve you and help you get connected. And I'd like to introduce several of them to you today and let them share a little bit about what's on their hearts at connecting folks to Apex.
Hi, I'm Christy Demeter, and I work in the office as part of the connecting team. Typically, we will get random phone calls from people who have questions about Apex. Questions because they've talked to one of you, they've been to one of our gatherings, or they've even touched on our website. And when we attempt to answer those questions, we usually have to start by casting a little bit of vision, kind of just going through with them about where we've been, what God has done here, and why we function as a house church network. Usually people, after they hear all of that, they are kind of surprised and they want to know how they can plug into a house church, which is when I connect them with one of our regional connectors.
I'm Josh Norton. I'm the Region 4 connector, and I've been doing it for a little over a year.
My name's Kelly Case, and I am the Region 1 House Church connector, and I've been doing it for about a year and a half.
Hi, I'm Steve Fry, and I'm the House Church connector for Region 2, and I've been connecting folks for about a year and a half.
I took the role of connecting because I wanted to get involved, and then I also see it as having the opportunity to kind of be the front door for house churches and for Apex.
I'm part of the Banyan Drive House Church. John Langendorfer is our shepherd, and I'm the co-leader. And we've been part of that house church for about 3.5 years. And I started going to that house church to be with my now wife.
I'm just like, it's, people call or email, and I just send them where they need to go. And
I've been blessed serving as a house church connector, just in personal growth, in connecting people, in that at times it's sacrificial, and I don't always want to do it, but it's a sacrificial type of thing. To me, it's an act of obedience.
I think one of the coolest things was a guy contacted me, said, "Hey, we're new to Apex. We want to get involved in house churches." And in his initial email, he said, "And at some point, we'd like to be shepherds and host one." And this is like 2 weeks into him coming to Apex, and I was like, "Okay, cool, high expectations, but whatever." And I connected to a house church, and then probably 2 months later at the Region 4 Shepherds meeting, he was there. And, learning, being discipled by that house church leader, and loving it. And now he hosts a house church and facilitates and is doing an awesome job. Maybe the most challenging thing is when people come into house churches with preconceived notions of what a house church is or should be. And when they're wrong or disappointed, they either just bail or call you and want to get into a different one rather than working it out.
a lot of times you get requests for people they want to be with people in their same demographics rather than geographically. So sometimes that's a challenge because you want to be able to put them in a place where they are going to feel comfortable and going to feel like they're growing, but you also want it to be community-based. So if they live really close to a certain house church, we'd like them to try that one and see how it goes. And it's good to have a good diversity of ages and stages of life in one house church and how they can benefit from that.
One of the things that I try to explain to people when I sense that they don't have a full understanding of house church is explain a lesson that was somewhat long in coming to me, in that house church is family. That was something I kind of struggled with for a long time. And that when you're in a family, you don't always get to choose your relatives. Just like when you go into a house church, you don't always get to choose the people that are there. But as you are there and you grow and you get to know these people, you come to love them and appreciate the differences.
I think you can go to house church once, twice, 3 times and not really feel like you fit in because it's a bunch of strangers. But if you give it time, you could really see some benefits from those relationships.
I do my best to encourage them to work through it, kind of like you would an issue in a family. I'll give for an instance. Last fall, I had a guy contact me when Rob was doing his series on house churches, and he wanted to get into house church, and then after a specific message, he got scared because he was like, I don't want to get into a house church that's, his words were, a bull in a china shop. And he's like, that doesn't sound appealing to me. And I said, well, it's not so much, that's not the best way of looking at it, not to be scared of that. It can be a very healthy thing to work through that. And being able to get into one and working through those issues can be one of the most healthy things that you have to deal with within the church.
A week ago, we kicked off what we're calling Fall Focus. And Fall Focus is basically just a time to look and see what God has done, to look and see what God is doing, specifically in the context of our ministry here at Apex. And that includes the challenges as well as the victories. And last week, our elders kicked off Fall Focus talking about, the game plan of discipleship, knowing, loving, and obeying Jesus Christ. And in my area of connecting, that involves things such as the blog, the website, things that are in your bulletin and things like that. But I'd actually like to draw your attention to the blog right now. A lot of you may have never been to the Apex blog, but if you haven't been there, especially this weekend, I'd like to go ahead and encourage you to go check it out. Some of the content that our elders shared last week, we had to cut out. We weren't able to share all of it with you last week. And so I'd encourage you to go check out the blog even today. There's some content on there where they go in and they teach specifically about knowing, loving, and obeying. And some of that content you weren't able to see last week will be really beneficial to you if you take time to go check that out. I'd also like to take this opportunity to talk a little about orientation. Apex Orientation is a chance for you to come, get your questions answered about Apex, learn what we believe, what God's doing here, get questions answered about house church. We have orientation about once a month, and actually coming up in October, we're having 2. October 3rd and 31st are upcoming orientations. There's details in your program, so please check those out and go ahead and come to either one of those. Lastly, I'd like to talk a little bit about a big thing we launched this year called The City. The City is an online tool. It's kind of a merge between social networking and ministry coordination and planning on the web. It's a great way for house church members to all get on there and coordinate ministry, coordinate your meetings, things like that. It's also a great way for the house churches of a region to stay connected to one another and coordinate things. And, of course, it's great for you just as individuals to stay connected to what's going on at Apex, whether it be your house church, your region, or any of the ministries going on centrally. If you have any questions about the city, if you're brand new to it or you've been using it for a while and you want to ask some fine-tuning kind of questions, we have 2 open training sessions coming up. They're actually the same dates as the upcoming orientation, October 3rd and 31st. So if you have questions about the city, I encourage you to come to either one of those trainings and get your questions answered, whether it's how do I get on the city and get started, or how do I use some of the finer features of the city. I encourage you to come and try to answer all the questions that you have. And the last thing that I'll mention is related to the city. Our children's check-in that a lot of you just used even today to check in your kids, the check-in's going to get an upgrade. We're going to integrate children's check-in with the city. so that the two are kind of merged together. And that provides a lot of benefits, such as our level of safety will be able to increase, our ability to communicate in a fluid way with you about the ministry that your kids are involved in. That will increase. And even our ability to protect private information will increase with using this. The Children's Check-In is something that you will have to register for. You can begin registering for that right now, anytime. Go to the kids' lobby and go in there. There's a little kiosk that you can fill things out. They'll answer any questions that you have. They also have this green sheet that I'm waving around that answers a lot of questions that you may have. But this is something that we will be using exclusively by the weekend of November 6th and 7th. That will be the only way of checking your kids in. So since it's available now, you can pre-register now and you can avoid some of the lines you might have getting near the end. But it will be required of everyone by November 6th and 7th. So go ahead and take advantage of that today and any time between now and then.